Wife left me for my business partner, so I served her divorce papers and exposed the truth she never saw coming. I'm Logan Holloway. I built a private security contracting firm from nothing, started doing personal protection for celebrities and executives after I got out of the Rangers, turned it into a $40 million operation with contracts across the southwestern United States. We handle everything from executive protection to corporate facility security to threat assessment for Fortune 500 companies. My wife Layla and I have been married for 7 years. When we met, she was running this tiny luxury travel blog, making maybe 30 grand a year but acting like she was the next big influencer. I didn't care about the money, I had plenty. What I liked was her hunger, her ambition. Or so I thought. Theo Castellano has been my CFO and business partner for 9 years. I brought him in when the company hit its first growth spurt because I needed someone who understood financial structuring while I focused on operations and client acquisition. He owns 30% of the company. I own 70%. That split was intentional, I maintained control. 3 weeks ago, something felt off. I run a security company. I'm trained to notice patterns, anomalies, things that don't belong. Layla suddenly started asking about quarterly projections. She's never given a SHT about the business beyond what it funds. Then Theo rescheduled our monthly review twice, something he's never done in 9 years. The real flag came when my head of IT security, Rodriguez, forwarded me an email meant for Theo. Simple mistake, Theo's email is Castellano @ mine is Galloway @. The email read, Mr. Castellano, per your request, we've purged the executive office security footage from the following dates as part of the routine maintenance cycle. Those dates? Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 2 months when I was at our Tucson facility. I didn't react. I didn't confront. I investigated. I have access to backup servers Theo doesn't know exist. Paranoia is a job requirement in my field. I recovered the footage. February 6th, 2:47 p.m., Layla enters my office where Theo is working. She locks the door. They F on my desk. The same desk where I sign the contracts that pay for her Mercedes, her jewelry, her whole F-King existence. But here's where it gets interesting. While they're getting dressed, I can read their lips, skill from the military, useful for surveillance. Theo's telling her about moving some numbers around and how Logan won't notice for months. Layla laughs and says, he's too focused on his tough guy empire to look at spreadsheets. That's when I knew this wasn't just an affair. This was a coordinated betrayal. For 3 weeks, I've documented everything. I hired a forensic accountant through my lawyer, not through the company. We found it all. Theo has been running a beautiful scam. Shell companies billing for security consultations that never happened. Vendor accounts for equipment we never bought. Over the past 18 months, he's stolen roughly $1.3 million. Layla? She's been feeding him information. My schedule, my plans, which contracts I'm personally overseeing versus which ones I'm delegating. She's been his early warning system. They think they're so F-King clever. Last night, Layla told me she's visiting her sister in Scottsdale this weekend. Theo just happens to have a financial conference in Scottsdale. I've already confirmed their hotel reservation. Same room. Under his name. But here's what they don't know. 2 weeks ago, I restructured the entire company through a holding corporation based in Delaware. Theo's 30%? It's now 30% of a subsidiary that I can dissolve. My lawyer found a clause in our operating agreement, fraud or criminal activity allows for immediate termination and forfeiture of shares. Last week, I moved all our personal assets into an irrevocable trust. Layla's name isn't on it. The prenup she signed has an infidelity clause, she gets nothing if she cheats. She forgot about that because she was too focused on the part where she gets 40% if I cheat. Tomorrow is Thursday. They'll meet in my office at 2:30 p.m. like they always do. Except tomorrow, the FBI will be waiting. Yeah, FBI. Turns out when you commit wire fraud across state lines stealing from a company with federal contracts, it becomes their problem. The board meeting is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Theo's expecting to present quarterly numbers. Instead, he'll be presenting his wrists for handcuffs. I've already hired his replacement. She starts Monday. Layla will be served divorce papers at her sister's house in Scottsdale. Except I've also invited her sister to lunch that day to discuss a surprise party for Layla. So her sister will be there when the process server shows up. The beautiful part? I had my lawyer draft the divorce papers 2 months ago. Not because I knew about the affair, but because I was already done with her. She'd become lazy, entitled, contributing nothing while demanding everything. The affair just made it easier. Some might ask why I waited 3 weeks. Why not confront them immediately? Because emotional reactions are for amateurs. I'm not hurt. I'm not broken. I'm methodical. When you try to steal from me, when you betray my trust, I don't get angry. I get strategic. By Monday, Theo will be facing federal charges. Layla will be locked out of every account, every credit card, every asset she thought was hers. The prenup is ironclad, my lawyer made sure of that. They think they're living in a romance novel. Star-crossed lovers stealing away into the night with bags of money. What they're actually living in is a case study on why you don't F with someone who does threat assessment for a living. I'll update after tomorrow's festivities. Update 1, posted 3 days later. Jesus Christ, the last 72 hours have been a masterclass in watching rats flee a sinking ship. Thursday came exactly as planned. I went to the office early, had coffee with Rodriguez, reviewed some legitimate contracts. Normal morning. Theo came in around 9 a.m., gave me the usual BS smile and small talk about weekend plans. I told him I was thinking about taking Layla to Sedona. He actually had the balls to say, "That's great, man. You two need more quality time together." 2:15 p.m., I'm in a client meeting, really just waiting in Rodriguez's office watching the security feed. 2:28 p.m., Layla texts me that she's grabbing lunch with a friend downtown. 2:31 p.m., Layla enters my office where Theo's waiting. I watch them kiss. She says, "God, I can't wait until we don't have to sneak around anymore." He responds, "Just a few more months, baby. Once I finish moving the rest, we're gone." 2:33 p.m., they're half undressed when the door opens. Not dramatically kicked in, just opens. 3 FBI agents walk in like they're coming to a casual meeting. The look on Theo's face as he tries to cover his DK while Special Agent Morrison reads him his rights? King priceless. Layla starts screaming about harassment, threatening to sue everyone. Agent Morrison just looks at her and says, "Ma'am, you're free to go, but you might want to put your shirt on first." 2:41 p.m., Theo's in handcuffs, being walked through our open plan office in front of 43 employees. I made sure to be standing by the elevator when they brought him out. Didn't say a word. Just watched. He looked at me with this mix of rage and panic, started to say something, but his lawyer, who'd apparently been called, shut him up. 2:45 p.m., Layla storms into Rodriguez's office where I'm waiting. Starts screaming about how I set them up, how I'm a controlling psychopath, how she's going to take everything. I let her rant for exactly 90 seconds, then held up my phone showing a crystal clear video of her and Theo discussing the embezzlement. She went pale. "Your sister's expecting you for lunch tomorrow in Scottsdale," I said. "Don't be late." 3:30 p.m., emergency board meeting moved up from 4 p.m. I present the forensic accountant's full report. 1.3 million stolen, documented with receipts, wire transfers, falsified invoices. The board votes unanimously to pursue full prosecution and civil recovery. Theo's shares are forfeit per the operating agreement. But here's where it gets better. Friday morning, Layla drives to Scottsdale. I know because I still have her car's GPS, it's technically a company vehicle, CEO perk she begged for. She gets to her sister's house at 11:47 a.m. Her sister Carolyn is already there because I convinced her Layla needed an intervention about her spending. 12:03 p.m., process server arrives. Serves Layla with divorce papers in front of Carolyn, who's confused as F. Layla tries to play victim, saying I'm abusive, controlling. Carolyn, who's never liked me but is honest, says, "Layla, what did you do?" The papers include printed screenshots of her and Theo's texts, including the ones where she calls Carolyn a jealous BCH for questioning Layla's spending and another where she says her family is white trash she escaped from. Carolyn left. Told Layla not to contact her until she gets her SHT together. 1:15 p.m., Layla tries to use her credit cards at a gas station. All declined. Bank account? Frozen per court order due to the ongoing fraud investigation. She calls me 17 times. I don't answer. 3:22 p.m., she shows up at the house. Tries her key, lock's already changed. Tries the garage code, already changed. The security system I installed, ironic, right? Recorded her attempting to break a window. I sent the footage to my lawyer for the restraining order petition. But Saturday to Saturday was the chef's kiss. Theo posted bail Friday night. Saturday morning, he shows up at my house. Not to fight, to beg. The FBI found more than we knew about. Turns out he's been running the same scam at 2 other companies where he serves on boards. We're talking about 3.7 million total. He's looking at 15 to 20 years. He literally got on his knees in my driveway, crying about his kids, his wife, yeah, he's married, Layla knew, his reputation. Said he'd give back everything if I dropped the charges. I can't drop federal charges, Theo. That's not how the FBI works. But you could tell them it was a misunderstanding. That the payments were legitimate. So you want me to commit perjury for you? After you stole from me and FK'd my wife? That's when he broke completely. Admitted everything. How Layla approached him first, said I was planning to force him out of the company. How she convinced him I was hiding money from both of them. How they planned to steal enough to start their own firm and leave together. I recorded the whole thing. Arizona's a one-party consent state for recordings. Sent it to the FBI and my lawyer. The aftermath so far. Theo's wife Diana filed for divorce Monday morning. She's also suing Layla for alienation of affection. Layla's been living in her car. Her family won't take her in after Carolyn shared those texts with everyone. The forensic accountant found another $400K in stolen funds we missed initially. Theo's assets are frozen. His wife got an emergency order to protect her half before the FBI seizes everything. Layla tried to hire a lawyer to challenge the prenup. 3 firms have turned her down once they reviewed the documents and evidence. My favorite part? Layla posted on Instagram yesterday trying to play victim, saying I was abusive and controlling. Within hours, Diana commented with screenshots of Layla's text to Theo about playing Logan like a fool and can't wait to spend his money with you. The company? Stock price went up 12% after I announced Theo's termination and the recovery of stolen funds. The new CFO I hired? She found 4 more areas where Theo was bleeding money through incompetence, not just theft. We're on track for our best quarter ever. I'm not done yet. The civil suit against Theo starts next month. Layla thinks she's protected because she wasn't technically stealing. But conspiracy to commit fraud? That's a crime too. The FBI says she's a person of interest. She sent me an email last night. Subject line, I'm sorry. Body, I know you'll never forgive me, but I loved you. I just loved him more. Please don't do this. You've already won. My response, new phone. Who's this? Then I blocked her email. This isn't about winning. It's about consequences. You want to betray someone? Pick better. Not someone who's spent their entire life learning how to identify and neutralize threats. More updates coming after the civil trial. Update 2, posted 2 weeks later. This will probably be my final update unless something dramatic happens at trial. It's been 2 weeks since my last post, and the dominoes keep falling in beautiful synchronization. First, let me address some questions from people who DM'd me. Yes, this is real. I can't post documentation for obvious legal reasons, but every word is true. No, I don't feel bad. Loyalty is everything to me. They broke it, they face consequences. Yes, I'm in therapy, not because I'm traumatized, but because my lawyer advised it looks good for the divorce proceedings. My therapist says I'm remarkably well adjusted for someone going through this. No SHT. I planned this, I'm not a victim of it. Now for the updates. Theo's situation. The FBI investigation uncovered something hilarious. Theo wasn't just stealing from me and 2 other companies, he was stealing from his mistress. Yeah, Layla wasn't his only side piece. He had a whole woman in Tempe he'd been seeing for 3 years. Was paying for her apartment with money he embezzled, told her he was divorced. This woman, Martina, contacted me through my lawyer. She had receipts. Not just financial, actual receipts. Apparently, Theo was meticulous about keeping records of his business expenses for the affair. Dinners, hotels, jewelry, even a car. All paid for with my company's money through his shell companies. Martina's PSD. She thought she was getting a successful, divorced executive. Instead, she got a married criminal who was using her as a backup plan. She's cooperating fully with the FBI. Here's the kicker, she has texts from Theo from 6 months ago where he's SHT talking Layla, calling her exhausting and terrible in bed and saying he's only with her to get access to my company info. I made sure Layla received copies of those texts through her court-appointed attorney. She finally found someone willing to take her case for a potential percentage of a settlement that will never come. Theo's current tally: federal charges for wire fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. He didn't report the stolen money as income, shocking. 3 separate civil suits from companies he stole from. Divorce proceedings where Diana is going scorched earth. Disbarment proceedings, forgot to mention, he has a law degree he never practiced with. IRS audit going back 7 years. His lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. The FBI offered him 12 years. His counter was 3. They laughed and said, "See you at trial." Layla's descent. Remember how I said she was living in her car? Well, that lasted exactly 3 days before it was repossessed. Turns out it was leased through the company, and I had every right to cancel that lease. She's been couch surfing with the few friends who still tolerate her. That number decreases daily as more information comes out. Her Instagram influencer dreams? Dead. She went from 47K followers to 12K in 2 weeks. Turns out posting luxury travel content hits different when everyone knows you were King your husband's business partner to steal money. She tried to start a GoFundMe claiming she was a victim of domestic abuse. It got taken down after I had my lawyer send them the evidence packet. Fraud is against their terms of service. But here's where she really F'd up. Last Thursday, she broke into my office building using an old keycard she'd kept. Security caught her trying to access my office computer. She told them she was still my wife and had a right to be there. Wrong move. She was arrested for criminal trespass and attempted corporate espionage. Trying to access company computers without authorization when there's an ongoing federal investigation is a bad look. While she was being arrested, she screamed that I was framing her, that she had proof I was the real criminal. The security footage shows her telling the cops, "Check his computers. He's hiding millions offshore. He's the one who taught Theo how to steal." That triggered an FBI review of my finances. Guess what they found? Nothing. Because I'm not a King amateur. My money is clean, my taxes are paid, my books are immaculate. I hired the best CFO in the state to review everything before presenting it to them. She used to work for the IRS. She knows what they look for. The FBI agent actually apologized for the inconvenience and mentioned that false accusations during an investigation could be considered obstruction of justice. Layla's now facing criminal trespass charges, attempted corporate espionage, possible obstruction of justice charges, conspiracy to commit fraud. They found emails where she explicitly discusses the embezzlement with Theo, a civil suit from Diana for alienation of affection, a potential lawsuit from me for defamation, those Instagram posts calling me abusive. Her lawyer dropped her after the break-in. She's now representing herself. The company's renaissance. Here's the part that makes me smile every morning when I walk into my building. The new CFO, Patricia Winters? She's a King virtuoso. In 3 weeks, she's recovered an additional $200K in funds Theo had marked as depreciated assets that were actually sold. Renegotiated our vendor contracts, saving us $300K annually. Identified 2 employees who were embezzling, small time, but still, inspired by Theo's example. Streamlined our billing system, increasing collection rates by 18%. Our biggest client, a major healthcare system, was considering dropping us because of the scandal. Patricia and I flew out, presented them with our new financial controls, our recovered stability, and our commitment to security at every level. They renewed for 5 years with a 20% increase. 3 of Theo's clients came to us after learning about his arrest. They want a security firm that actually practices security, including financial security. We're projecting 60% growth this year. I'm opening a new office in Vegas. The personal satisfaction. Carolyn, Layla's sister, reached out to apologize for initially believing Layla's lies. We had coffee. She told me Layla has been a manipulator since childhood. Apparently, this isn't her first rodeo with destroying relationships for money. She did something similar to their cousin's marriage 5 years ago. Diana, Theo's wife, and I have become unlikely allies. We're sharing evidence for our respective cases. She's a radiologist, brilliant woman, and honest to God, I don't know how Theo fumbled that for Layla. We had dinner last week, strictly professional, coordinating legal strategies, and she told me something interesting. Theo had been planning this for 2 years. Before Layla, he'd approached 3 other employees' spouses trying to find an inside accomplice. Layla was just the first to say yes. My lawyer subpoenaed those employees. All 3 confirmed Theo had made subtle suggestions about opportunities outside Logan's knowledge. None took the bait, but none reported it either. They thought he was just talking SHT. They all still work for me. I don't hold it against them. Theo was convincing and they were loyal when it counted. But now they know. Anything suspicious comes straight to me. The current situation. As of today, Theo's in jail. Couldn't make the new bail amount after the judge saw him as a flight risk. Layla's facing a competency hearing for her self-representation. The company just landed a contract with the state worth $8 million. I'm sleeping like a baby in my emperor-sized bed. My lawyer says the divorce will be final within 60 days. Layla sent me one last email before I had my lawyer file a restraining order. You destroyed my life over money. I hope you're happy being alone with your fortune. My response to my lawyer: tell her she destroyed her own life over money that was never hers. And I'm not alone. I have the loyalty of every employee who didn't betray me, the respect of every client who trusts me, and the satisfaction of knowing I built something two parasites couldn't destroy. Also, I'm dating again, but that's none of her F-king business. The lessons. Always have backup systems your partners don't know about. Prenups are worth every penny you pay a good lawyer. When someone shows you who they are through betrayal, believe them. Emotional responses are luxury items, save them for after the war is won. The best revenge isn't just living well, it's systematically dismantling the lives of those who tried to dismantle yours. People keep asking if I'm okay, if I need support, if I'm processing the trauma. There's no trauma. Trauma implies I was a victim. I wasn't. The moment I discovered their betrayal, they became problems to solve, not people to mourn. Layla thought she was upgrading to a richer man. She downgraded to a federal defendant. Theo thought he was stealing my company. He stole his own freedom. They played checkers while I played chess. No, that's giving them too much credit. They played tic-tac-toe while I played warfare. I'll update after the trials, but honestly, the story's essentially over. They lost everything. I lost nothing that mattered. The company is stronger. I'm wealthier. And they're finished. That's what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness and generosity for gullibility. I gave them both everything they needed to succeed, and they chose to steal instead. Now they have nothing, and I have everything, including the satisfaction of watching them realize they orchestrated their own destruction. F around? Meet find out. Find out? Meet consequences. Consequences? Meet Logan F. King Holloway. Final update, posted 4 months later. Well, the trials are over, sentences are handed down, and the dust is settled. Here's how it all ended. Theo's trial lasted 3 days. His lawyer tried to paint him as a man who made mistakes under financial pressure. The prosecution presented 73 exhibits of evidence, including wire transfer records, falsified invoices, shell company documentation, the recorded confession in my driveway, Martina's testimony about the embezzled funds used for their affair, text messages between him and Layla planning the theft. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Wire fraud, 8 counts. Embezzlement, 12 counts. Tax evasion, 3 counts. Conspiracy to commit fraud, 1 count. Sentence, 14 years federal prison, no possibility of parole for 10. Ordered to pay $4.3 million in restitution. During sentencing, Theo broke down crying, begging the judge for mercy, talking about his children. The judge, a 60-year-old woman who'd seen it all, responded, "Mr. Castellano, you stole millions while betraying the trust of a business partner who considered you family. You did this not out of need, but greed. Your children will suffer not because of this court, but because of your choices." His wife Diana divorced him the day after sentencing. She got everything that wasn't seized. She sent me a thank you card with a simple message, for showing me who he really was. Layla's legal troubles. She took a plea deal to avoid trial. Conspiracy to commit fraud, criminal trespass, and obstruction of justice. The federal prosecutor offered her 18 months in minimum security if she testified against Theo. She took it immediately. Threw him under the bus so hard the bus backed up and hit him again. Her testimony revealed more. Theo had promised to divorce his wife and marry her. They planned to frame me for the embezzlement if caught. She'd been recording our private conversations for Theo to find weaknesses in the company. They had plans to start a competing firm with the stolen money. During her sentencing, she tried to cry, but even the tears looked calculated. The judge gave her 18 months as promised but added 3 years probation and 500 hours of community service. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks before she reported to prison. She got exactly what the prenup specified for infidelity, nothing. She contested it once more, claiming duress when signing. My lawyer presented the video of her laughing with her friends about securing the bag the day after our engagement. Case closed. She's currently serving her sentence at FCI Phoenix. According to a guard I know, client of my firm, she's working in the prison laundry and has already tried to start 3 different schemes with other inmates. Old habits. The aftermath, 6 months later. The company isn't just recovered, We're dominating. That $8 million state contract led to federal attention. We just secured a $40 million federal contract for facility security at multiple sites. We've expanded to 200 employees. I promoted Rodriguez to COO. Patricia remains CFO and has become invaluable. I bought Theo's house at the foreclosure auction for 60% of its value. I'm turning it into transitional housing for veterans getting back on their feet. Named it Second Chances House, because unlike Theo, they deserve one. Layla's Instagram was hacked last month, not by me. Apparently, she made enemies in prison. They posted all her DMs showing her trying to seduce 3 other married executives while we were together. Her reputation isn't just destroyed, it's radioactive. Martina, Theo's other mistress, wrote a tell-all blog about the experience. It went viral. She donated all the ad revenue to a charity for fraud victims. She's doing well, got into therapy, went back to school, seems genuinely remorseful for her part in things. Personal life. People keep asking if I'm dating. I am. Her name's Valeria, and yes, before someone asks, I got express permission to use her actual name. She's a former federal prosecutor who now runs her own practice. We met when she was consulting on another case my firm was involved in. She's the opposite of Layla in every way that matters. Has her own money, her own success, her own life. Doesn't need me, just wants me. She jokes that my baggage came pre-checked by the FBI. We're taking it slow. She knows the whole story, hard not to when it was in the news. First thing she said when I asked her out, I should mention, I have a forensic accountant on retainer and I actually read financial statements for fun. I think I'm in love. The unexpected twist. Last month, I got a call from the FBI. They'd been investigating several other companies and found a pattern. Theo wasn't working alone initially. There's a whole network of CFOs running similar schemes. Theo flipped on all of them for a sentence reduction, denied, but he tried. They've arrested 7 other executives across 4 states. The FBI agent thanked me for my documentation, said it was the cleanest evidence package they'd ever received. They've actually started using it as a training example for financial fraud investigation. I've been asked to speak at a federal law enforcement conference about corporate security and fraud prevention. Ironic that getting betrayed made me an expert on preventing betrayal. Reflections. People often ask if I regret anything. Would I do anything differently? Honestly? No. Some say I should have confronted them immediately, that I should have tried to save my marriage, that I went too far. Those people have never been betrayed by someone they trusted with everything. Layla wasn't confused or making a mistake. She was calculating and cruel. Theo wasn't desperate or pressured. He was greedy and systematic. They made choices every single day to destroy what I built and steal what I earned. I didn't destroy their lives. I revealed who they were and let the consequences unfold. Every piece of evidence I gathered was real. Every crime they committed was their choice. I just made sure it all came to light. The company is stronger because we cut out the cancer. My life is better because I removed toxic people. My future is brighter because I refuse to be a victim. Last thoughts. Layla sends me a letter from prison every month. I don't read them. My lawyer files them as evidence for the restraining order that will be permanent when she gets out. Theo's kids visited me last week with Diana. They're teenagers, old enough to understand what their father did. They apologized for him, which broke my heart. I told them what I truly believe, they aren't responsible for their father's crimes. I've set up college funds for both of them, not because I owe Theo anything, but because those kids deserve better than having their futures destroyed by their father's greed. The new office in Vegas is thriving. We're looking at expanding to San Francisco next. Patricia jokes that Theo accidentally did us a favor. His betrayal forced us to implement financial controls that made us more profitable than ever. Rodriguez told me something last week that stuck with me. He said, "You know what the difference is between you and them? They thought they were taking advantage of your trust. But trust isn't weakness, it's a test. And when they failed it, you didn't break. You rebuilt stronger." He's right. I still trust people. I still build partnerships. I still believe in loyalty. But now I verify everything and have contingencies for betrayal. Not because I expect it, but because I refuse to be blindsided again. Layla and Theo thought they were wolves hunting sheep. Turns out I was never sheep. I was a shepherd who knew how to deal with wolves. This is my final update. The story's over. They lost, I won, and life moves forward. To everyone in similar situations, document everything. Feel nothing until it's over. Execute ruthlessly. Then move on completely. To everyone who supported me through these posts, thank you. Your messages reminded me that there are still people who value loyalty and despise betrayal. To Layla, if you're somehow reading this from federal prison, you were right about one thing. I am alone with my fortune. But I'm alone by choice, surrounded by people I trust, building something greater than you could ever imagine. You're alone by consequence, surrounded by people just like you, criminals who thought they were clever. Enjoy your cot. I'll enjoy my empire. Logan Holloway, CEO of a company that's now worth $120 million. P.S. We just got word that we won the bid for a massive contract with a major casino chain in Vegas. The same hotel where Theo and Layla had their business meetings. The irony is delicious. I'm having my first executive meeting there next month, in the same suite they used. I'm bringing Valeria. We're going to drink champagne and laugh about how karma has a sense of humor. F around and find out? They found out everything. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.